Golf has not had a leader as outspoken as Rory McIlroy in a while. In 2022, when LIV Golf threatened golf status quo, Rory was the first player to run to the PGA and European Tours' defense. He put his neck on the line to protect two of golf's premier institutions, but he was soon reminded of his place at the table. He was just another player. But instead of letting the disappointments of pro-golf politics deflate his energy, the Northern Irishman had a new objective. He now has his sights set on some very dear business. Immediately after Greg Norman launched LIV Golf in June 2022, global golf lost its mind. The Shark had billions of dollars from the Saudi Public Investment Fund in his back pocket, and he wielded like a bone. Once he started waving those wads, many players lost control of their wagging tails and watering mouths. Tens of golf stars instantly jumped at LIV's insane offers, even at the cost of losing their PGA and European Tour memberships. With stars such as Brooks Koepka, Sergio Garcia, and Bryson DeChambeau gone with the money, the tours knew they had a serious problem. What they didn't know, however, was how to deal with a multi-billion-dollar predator like LIV. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan had to work with the players to keep his organization afloat, but he needed to have a trusted and passionate right hand among the players if he wanted to save his drowning ship. Of course, Tiger Woods was naturally his first choice, but the old ace was struggling with his own issues. He could hardly walk, let alone compete in tournaments, and even though Tiger's voice was still the loudest in golf, Monahan needed a leader that could, forgive the pun, walk with him. Rory had been vocal about his dislike of Greg Norman's new outfit way before LIV Golf even became official. And no, he had zero issues with Norman's wardrobe. He had only a bone to pick with the players aligning themselves with Saudi money. How could they abandon the leagues that gave them everything they had just like that? Well, let's just say some of his colleagues saw things differently, especially with the bag of Saudi dollars in their line of sight. For instance, Harold Varner III only made $10.7 million in 191 starts on the PGA Tour, but when LIV knocked on his door, he got over $15 million in guaranteed earnings. To think this was separate from the millions up for grabs in LIV's tournaments, the whole thing almost feels illegal. So while Rory saw defection as a cardinal sin, players like Harold saw it as a pure business decision. After months of relentless verbal attacks in the media against LIV Golf, Rory became the obvious leader of the fight on the players' side. Monahan relied on him and Tiger to convince the other players to stay behind, and as part of Monahan's plan, the duo led a closed-door meeting with other top players at the Hotel DuPont in Wilmington, Delaware. The result of that conversation influenced the tour to introduce several incentives for the players. Among them, the tour increased the value of the Player Impact Program and several tournaments' purse prizes. It also improved access for younger players and guaranteed stipends to many tour members. The trick worked. The players felt the game was in their hands, but were they in for a rude shock? A few days after the meeting, the PGA Tour, Rory, Tiger, and their business partner Mike McCarley made another surprise announcement. They revealed Tiger and Rory's Tomorrow Golf League, or TGL, a tech-infused golf tournament expected to take off in 2025. And just as plans for TGL kicked off, Rory took an even more important role on the PGA Tour. He'd already served 3 years as a member of the Player Advisory Council, including 1 year as chairman in 2021, so he wasn't new to speaking on behalf of his colleagues. In 2022, his appointment as a player director on the PGA Tour Policy Board received a lot of attention. The position gave him fresh ammunition to continue his assault on LIV and make sure it never succeeded. To him, he was fighting a holy war, but he was too involved to see he was fighting with a blindfold on. When high-profile couples split, half of the time it's usually because someone cheated, or at least someone felt cheated. In Rory's mind, his marriage with the PGA Tour was a serious affair, but it turned out the feeling wasn't mutual. Rory had provided cover for Monahan throughout golf's civil war. For several months, he made comments in the media that made him enemy number one of Greg Norman and his people. He went as far as taunting Norman after surpassing him in number of PGA Tour wins at the 2022 Canadian Open. At the 2022 Dubai Desert Classic,
I have 21st PGA Tour win, one more than someone else. That gave me a little bit of extra incentive today.
He openly snubbed LIV player Patrick Reed over a subpoena he received on Christmas Eve. He loudly supported the removal of the defectors from the PGA and European Tours. Rory was battling in the mud and on high waters. He was super excited to see LIV players miss out on the 2023 Ryder Cup. Brooks Koepka was the only outlier. The U.S. team captain Zach Johnson weighed the cost of dropping the PGA Championship winner and decided the team could use Koepka's America's major firepower. But in the end, the liveless Europeans got the better of the Americans in Rome. And you won't believe how much Rory enjoyed that victory. We'll never know what might have happened if the likes of DeChambeau, Garcia, or Reed had got the call-up as well. Guess that's what happens when a family feuds. So can you imagine Rory's confusion when he was told that the feud was over? Monahan and the governor of the PIF, the Saudi Public Investment Fund, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, suddenly announced a framework agreement between Saudi PIF and the PGA and European Tours on June 6, 2023. But hours before the news got out, Rory got the ultimate breakup message. He learned his services had become surplus to requirements. In other words, he could stop whining about LIV. Ouch! While Rory was busy in the trenches, Monahan and the other suits on the board had gone behind him and the other players to shake hands with the Saudis. Imagine being the guy who's on record as the biggest critic of Saudi's involvement in golf. Now imagine that guy learning the Saudis are his new employer. The merger with the PIF seems like a slap in Rory's face. He felt like every partner who has been used and dumped, and his comments after the truce showed just how pained he was. His overriding feeling was that of a sacrificial lamb. But even after coming to terms with this reality, Rory made it clear that he still hated LIV and wanted penalties for the defectors. He told the press at the 2023 Canadian Open, "There still has to be consequences to actions. The people that left the PGA Tour irreparably harmed this tour, started litigation against it. We can't just welcome them back in. That's not going to happen." Later, in November 2023, Rory finally severed ties with the PGA Tour Policy Board. His fight was done. It was time to get back to just golf. After getting out of a toxic relationship, many people report what they call a post-divorce glow-up. Rory, like those divorcees, has been shining since he got out of PGA Tour politics. Leading the players was, however, not a total curse to Rory. It came with some blessings, too. At the height of his involvement, he won 5 times on the PGA Tour and twice on the European Tour. Those victories and multiple near misses even briefly took him to #1 on the world rankings. It was also during this period that he led Europe to another successful Ryder Cup campaign. So it wasn't exactly toxic because it fueled him to lead from the front. And anyway, he got some money for his troubles. Remember that Player Impact Program money? Rory got the $15 million top prize in 2023 for all his work. It was basically his alimony. With the LIV phase behind him, he just wanted to go back to doing what he loves most. So during the break, he worked with a team of professionals, including his putting coach Brad Faxon, to improve weak areas of his game. Since Rory's resignation, he has been hot. Although he finished tied for 22nd to the DP World Tour Championship in November 2023, he started 2024 with 2 top 2 finishes, including his victory at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic, also one of his finest performances. After the first 2 rounds, Rory was 10 shots behind the leader Cameron Young, but an incredible 63 in the 3rd round changed his fortunes and put him within arm's reach of Young. All he needed to seal his one-shot victory was a 2-under par 70 as Young crashed to 3rd with a final round 74. Could Rory's biggest comeback win be a sign of something bigger in 2024? Winning any tournament is always great, but Rory has his mind on greater things. He rose to fame very early in life. At 25, he'd won 4 major tournaments, and he was expected to replace Tiger. But while the big cat dominated golf for almost 2 decades, Rory looked washed up by his late 20s. More than anything else, he's been chasing an elusive green jacket. It's the only piece missing in his bid to complete a career Grand Slam, and he looks poised to win it. He's only managed 4 top 5 finishes in 15 starts, and 2023 was his worst year at Augusta. He couldn't even make the cut after shooting 10 shots behind the 36-hole leader. He came closest to his dreams of donning the jacket in 2022 when he lost by 3 strokes to Scottie Scheffler. But in Rory's current form and mental state, he'll be the guy to beat in 2024, especially when the stars get together at Augusta. After his victory in Dubai, he told the press, "I've still got some big events to come, but I think from now until that week in April, at least a part of my mind is going to be towards getting myself absolutely ready for there." There, probably called Augusta, is the main thing on Rory's mind. Apart from public expectations, time is another factor driving Rory's charge for the green jacket. We've all watched a chubby teenager grow into a sturdy man, but in those intervening years that saw his black hair go gray, Rory wasn't the only thing that changed. Golf also changed. Several new talents have risen to challenge the old boys. Take 20-year-old Nick Dunlap, for example. He shocked the world at 2024's the American Express after coming out of nowhere to win it. As the first amateur to win on the PGA Tour since Phil Mickelson in 1991, Dunlap is now tipped to be the next big star. He and other elite golfers around the world are some of the obstacles in the way of Rory's wish for a green jacket before he turns 35 on May 5th. However, Rory has his experience and his newfound focus, and they can make all the difference at Augusta and his entire 2024 season. If you enjoyed this video about Rory McIlroy, check out the video on the screen now, or the one we posted below. We're sure you'll like that one too. Let us know in the comments if there's another golfer whose journey you'd like us to cover. See you there.